Your thoughts on doing the work?
I've been wanting to get to this question since I woke up this morning. Because, well, let me also say that my mom was also a retired nurse who went to Willenburg, who attended Willenburg School of Nursing. But, you know, I try not. Well, again, I said I wanted to answer this question since I woke up this morning because some of the really mean-spirited and hateful and non-researching and heard it through the grapevine blogging stated that I'm in favor of a 660-unit apartment complex. At the last forum, at the first forum I ever attended in my life, the NAACP forum, I stated that I said that I had not done my due diligence when asked about the Millenburg project. I did attend a Greater Citrus Clergy meeting, and there was a presentation made for about 15 minutes on that project, and we did not have a chance to ask a lot of questions. But I did do my due diligence now. I did a whole lot of it, and after doing it, you know, I'm not in favor of a 660-unit apartment complex. Having members who attend my church who live also in that area, listening to what they also had to say. One of the questions was, you know, who would like in Plainfield a 660-unit apartment complex in their neighborhood? You know, so after doing my due diligence, I do now understand the acres and everything that is involved, but I am in favor of a health facility that will service adequately Plainfield residents.
Thank you. Hold on to the line, please. We have a lot of questions in this area, and they're directed at Reverend Brown. First, would you please tell me, we'll start with Reverend Brown, what is PMUA?
Well, it's the Sewer and Solid Waste Agency for the city.
Plainfield Municipal
Utilities
Authority?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go from there. And there's, again, a bunch of cards, maybe 6 or 7, all with the same question here. And it's addressed to you. We'll ask for everybody's comments on this. At an NAACP forum, Reverend Brown stated that she could not answer any questions related to PMUA because it was a conflict of interest. Can you please explain what is a conflict of interest and how can anyone who is running for office have a conflict of interest?
Is that a PMUA question?
Pardon me?
No, okay. My lawyer asked me not to speak on anything regarding PMUA because there was a conflict of interest, and the reason that was given was because, you know, I, of course, would probably favor some of the things that PMUA, where people would be opposed. So I think they said not to answer the question because of that reason. And most of the questions that were asked will be the same questions that people have asked for the last, I've only been with Plainfield PMUA for, I think, going on six years, but I'm sure it will be the same questions that has already been asked, which is probably, you know, redundant.
Conflict of authority is the issue here, and I'm not hearing what the conflict in interest is, but I think then, may I ask you, Ronnie, Ms. Taylor, what you understand would be a conflict of interest?
With the PMUA?
With the PMUA, yes.
As it relates to what? Oh.
I think in this question, there's a lot of people who asked what the conflict of interest is.
Oh.
And I think if you can explain what the conflict of interest is in the Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority, would be helpful.
Well, while my opponent is the commissioner, I'm really not aware of where the conflict would prohibit her from answering questions. I can't imagine how, when you're running for public office, you can run for public office, you can't answer questions. I served the Board of Education for 10 years, and I can't imagine how you come to a forum and want people to vote for you, you can't, clearly the issues in Plainfield are delineated. PMUA is one of them. My opponent's been silent on the matter. I don't see a conflict. I'm not aware of a conflict. I've been an elected official before, so I can't speak to that. But I know that as a Plainfield resident on a teacher's salary, I find it very difficult as a ratepayer to pay my PMUA bill. It's a challenge. I know, there's some people are worried about their jobs. I support the frontline workers, but I support anything that's going to provide some relief to the ratepayers. And I support the council's request for permission to RFP and get a report out there to find out if we need to transition or what we need to do. But we need to protect the frontline workers. But I don't know what conflict of interest there would be when you're running for public office. You can't answer a question.
Okay, thank you. Now, may I ask you, Mr. Knapp, if you could address what there might be as a conflict of interest with the PMUA, and what are your thoughts on that?
All I can tell you is that I am not an employee of the PMUA. I've never served in any capacity at the PMUA. I don't have any relatives that are employed by the PMUA. And so I personally don't have any conflict regarding the PMUA. I can also tell you that as a member of the governing body, that I am constantly bombarded with questions from my constituents, from people in the media, about my work as a member of the governing body. And I believe that I have a responsibility to be responsive to those questions, those inquiries, whenever they're presented to me. And so, in my capacity, in my role, as a servant of the public, serving on the governing body, there are no conflicts that I have as a member of the governing body. And if there were a conflict, then I would not be in public office, but also in public office.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Haq, can you address that?
Yes, the PMUA has become quite a problem. There definitely needs to be a comprehensive plan. I'm expecting a plan from Mr. Williamson, the new executive director, to economize that operation. And there probably needs to be some people who can bring something to the table, more so than in the past. Some professionals. I always think of this guy, Philip Childs, when I think about a new commissioner. The decision to grant severance pay of $1.2 million to the retiring staff recently, I believe it should have been determined by arbitration. I think that was a mistake. Councilman Mapp, when asked, would not criticize the severance pay given by the PMUA. He said he wouldn't criticize their judgment. Well, I think it was a bad judgment, and it should have been criticized. That's how you change things, by criticizing bad judgment. One day,
I'm afraid you're
I'm finishing now. One day he wouldn't criticize the severance pay, and then he comes out with literature saying that he doesn't think it should have happened. That sounds a little bit like Mitt Romney to me.
Thank you. Reverend Brown, would you like 30 seconds for a rebuttal of any kind? Any clarification that you feel?
Let me just add this. My lawyer asked me not to speak about it, but in reference to what Mr. Hobbs just said, before severance pay was paid out, we had
discussed whether or not we wanted arbitration, and I voted on arbitration during that time.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to another question then. And it's a variation on a theme, again, that several of you have asked in various forms. And it's what are the quality of life issues that you would want to address? And there are several questions on that, one form or other. So I'm going to start with Ms. Taylor. And what are those quality of life issues that you think should be addressed immediately in Plainfield?
Certainly, I welcome the opportunity to answer that question. Crime is one. We've had a recent rush of crime in this town, and people live here, they want to feel safe. Everyone wants to know they can send their children to school, you can walk your dog late at night, you can go to your car. People want to be able to go downtown to the shopping area. They want to feel safe, and we want that for people. But the one thing that addresses community crime is not programs, it's people. So while I support the current council's initiative on spot shotter and cameras, I also support us going back and revisiting when we had community policing. It was through a grant, maybe we can get it again, but community policing works. We need to provide those kinds of supports. And also economic development. Why? Because that's going to help abate and give us some tax relief. I mean, everyone I talk to when I knock on doors, including myself, we're looking for some tax relief. That's what's going to happen through economic development. We need to have a marketing plan to bring people, let people know, sing the praises of Plainfield, what's going on here, and what would work, and what's going to happen. But you don't elect me to be a legislator. I'm not supposed to solve that problem. I'm supposed to support the administration, and that's their job. I will provide the oversight to make sure they do their job.
Thank you. Mr. Matt, what is the first or second quality of life issues that you would address if re-elected?
We have a responsibility to ensure that our properties are maintained at a level, at a standard that would present our neighborhoods as inviting. And I do believe that the way each and every one of us keep our property, I think that that lends so much to how people feel about the neighborhoods in which they live, where they work, and where they play. And so I do believe that the maintenance of our property, the enforcement of our property maintenance codes are important. I also do believe that we have to be able to have streets that are safe. And so to that end, I will continue to provide the necessary resources to our police department so that we can have more traffic enforcement. We also need to pay a lot of attention to the crime and the violence that's plaguing us. And, you know, there's no denying it. Crime is on the rise in the city, and so we have a responsibility to deal with that. And I am prepared to provide the resources to our law enforcement agencies, namely the police department, so that we can tackle that issue. Those are some of the quality of life issues that we're wrestling with.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul-Haq.
One quality of life issue that bothers me a lot is when kids walk around with their pants hanging down. I went to the council meeting. Well, we do what we can when I was on the board of education trying to change that. But I went to the council meeting and I proposed that we pass an ordinance. And I was told by Mr. Matt that it would be unconstitutional. So I came back and I gave him a law from another town, another state, and it was having positive effects. But nothing was ever done. I'm also talking with, getting close to implementing a collective mentoring program at Washington School. There'll be a lot of police and other men involved in that. The school will provide some food